stochastic and deterministic. So someone defined deterministic.
Those are the effects that can be seen in measured amounts, like if
Exactly.
you get X amount of dose, you're gonna have this happen.
Exactly, they have thresholds.
Thresholds.
Right? So that's deterministic. Can someone explain stochastic?
It's the factors that you can't control, like somebody, how much dose they have to get before it'll affect it.
No
Like
threshold.
yeah.
No threshold. They're random. Cancer. If you got cancer and you had an x-ray, could you say it was because of the x-ray? Well, it might be, but we really can't say because maybe you were gonna get cancer. It's a random thing. Everybody gets it. Okay, the difference between stochastic and deterministic. So, X-ray techs get doses. What do we call those doses? Occupational. And what is the most important? Now, when we get doses, and when you get your first dosimetry report, I said you'll go down the line, the first reading you get going down the line is the most important, and that would be
The annual?
whole body, right? But then I said there's other categories, how much your eyes get, your extremities, there's all different areas. So what's the most important one out of all of these? It's the whole body, what your whole body gets. And then the very last number is your cumulative, which just keeps on adding. Every time you get a report, it just adds to it. That's your lifetime dose. So when you graduate and you go get a job, you'll be calling me up and sending me an email saying, can you please send my final report to Chandler Regional because I just got a job, so they have to add it to their report, right? So we called the doses the techs get occupational. What are the limits for occupational dose?
0.50.
Say again?
0.50. That's annual dose, 0.50.
5 rem. How many milligram is that?
50,
What's a milli?
500.
What's a milli though? 1,000. So 5 rem equals
5,000.
5,000 milligram. That is the most common way of stating it, 5,000 milligram. 5,000 milligram is what you're allowed for the year. If you even got to 2,500 halfway, you would probably lose your job, unless you worked in interventional. That's the only place where we go into the thousands. Because it means you're not protecting yourself if you got that much. So, there's a difference between occupational, what do we call the dose for everybody else?
Public.
Yeah, general public, and what's that dose limit? That has a dose limit too.
Isn't it 0.5?
0.5, because it is 1/10 of what we're allowed. Yeah. Oh, here's another one. It's not a math problem, but it's a word problem with the application of the inverse square law. Just know the inverse square law. You gotta know the inverse square law. On this one, I'm giving you a hint. It's a question that asks, if we change the exposure by this factor, what would the individual be exposed to? Remember that it is a square, right? Right? Oh, now I've got 3 or 4 questions in a row about lead equivalency of aprons and other protective devices. There's a range and then there's specific amount of millimeters of lead you need for certain applications. Does anybody understanding what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
Yeah, what am I getting at?
for the range of aluminum equivalency.
Say again?
The range for aluminum equivalency.
For different machines, for different ranges, yeah? Just know those. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like if the machine goes over 100 kV, you need a certain amount, right? Let's see. Is it best to use high kV and low mass, or low kV and high mass when we are taking the patient's dose into consideration?
High KV, low mass.
High kV, yeah. What if you use a grid? What does that do to the patient's dose?
Increases.
Increase. When would you shield the patient, for sure, when would you shield the patient? I'm not even gonna go by age or female or anything like that. You're going to shoot an x-ray, you're looking at what you're x-raying, when would you for sure have to use a shield?
It's like the distance.
Within 5 centimeters.
Say it again?
Within 5 centimeters.
Yes, if the beam is within 5 centimeters of the gonads, you have to use a shield, right? That was a question right out of one of your quizzes. Know when the fetus is radiosensitive, most radiosensitive.
8
Between
to
8 to 15 weeks.
weeks.
Yep. Bless you, can someone explain what filtration is, what it's used for? Why do we use it? Go ahead.
It's to filter out the lower level photons so that we get the lower range of the photons that we want.
Right, so we want to harden the beam by removing the low energy photons with a filter, yeah? And then when we do that, then our average strength photon that's left in the beam is higher. Does this reduce or increase the patient's dose? Decreases. Well, if you put that filter in and it absorbs all those low energy photons, now the patient's dose going down, because if you didn't have the filter, who would be absorbing those photons? The patient, right? So reduce. Filtration is great because it reduces a patient's dose. Remember, all the way back to the very beginning with a dentist that used the leather for the only reason he put leather in between the patient and the beam was he thought that the leather would absorb the low energy photons so the patient would get less radiation. Because back then, to take an x-ray, back in 1900, 1910, 1920, the exposures were really long. I mean, really long. In the very beginning, you could sit for half an hour to get a hand x-ray.
Whoa!
Yeah. It's the way it was. It's the same way with photography, right? When you see those old cabinet pictures and the guy standing like this, how long do you think he stood for? A long time. A long time, 5 or 10 minutes. I've done some exposures that can take 15 minutes. Not with an x-ray, but with a pinhole camera. That's what the old ones were, you know, when they put the blanket over their head and everything. These are long exposures. The same way with x-ray. It took forever. It took forever. Okay. So, what type of, in the tube, what type of materials are used? What absorbs in the tube? What type of materials would kind of filter? Glass,
The oil.
oil,
Polymer.
yeah, the collimator after the tube, the actual plate of aluminum that's right there at the window. But what's the most common one used? What's the most common filtering material? Aluminum. Oh, and let's say we weren't using aluminum, we were using something else, copper, tin, whatever, how would we express that? As an aluminum equivalency. We don't say like the window is a 1/4 inch of glass, we say it is got an aluminum equivalency to 1 millimeter of aluminum. We don't say it's glass, right? Understand the half value limit. There are like 3 questions in a row about the half value limit, including one that, similar one to what was on your quiz where I said, how many half value layers would it take to reduce this beam by 3, by a factor of 3 or something like that, right? Oh, and on filters, what type of filter would you use on a foot? A what?
Wedge.
A wedge, and what kind of filter do we call that?
Compensating.
Compensating. And where does the thick part go over?
The less
Go
dense.
to the toes.
Yeah,
The less
so the
dense
thick part of the filter goes over the thin part of the anatomy, the thin part of the filter goes over the thick part of the anatomy, right? Okay. So, someone explained inherent filtration.
That's the neck.
The filtration that's inherent to the machine itself.
Yeah.
To the tube.
Say again?
The filtration tube.
The tube. The inherent is the filtration built into the tube merely by its design. What is added filtration?
Anything outside of
Anything
the
else?
It's outside the tube, right? And then when you add them, added and inherent, you get total filtration, right? So mass has a directly proportional relationship with what?
Density.
Density.
Density, yes. And, so if it's directly proportional, if I double my mass, what happens to my density?
Double.
Double, yeah, double. And so I've got current, which is MA, time, seconds, and we add them together, and that's mass, right? What do we equate mass with then? We said, this is how we, remember I was saying this, I was saying quantity, which is mass, which is the controlling factor of density, right? Then I can go KVP, which is quality, and it has the controlling factor of contrast. What else can I say about KV?
Has a profound effect
It has a profound effect on density, which means it has a profound effect on quantity, right? Remember that. So, when we increase our KV, what's happening in the tube?
Craziness.
The speed and energy of the photons.
Say again?
The speed and energy of the photons increase.
Yes, so one thing it does is as we increase, it increases the speed of the energy of the electrons, the projectile electrons, yeah? Yeah, what else does it do? So I guess we can say if it increases the energy, it increases the quality of the beam, right? But what else does it do?
Penetrating ability?
What?
Penetrating ability?
Well, that would be the extra energy, right? It's more penetrating, higher energy, higher energy, we're gonna produce higher energy photons.
Reduces dose.
Well, I was trying to give you a hint by, I was saying, we're increasing quality, what else are we increasing?
Contrast.
Huh?
Contrast?